Alright guys, this is camera talk. Okay, so if you're shooting outdoors, don't forget these things when shooting outdoors. One of which is the changing lighting scenarios. Whether the sun's going down, whether there's clouds, whatever. Remember or keep in mind how the lighting could change when you're prepping for something or whatever. And even weather in general. Maybe it's going to rain. Is your camera weather sealed? Can it take some rain droplets, or is it going to be a bad time? Is it going to damage it? Consider this. Do you want to put a bag over your camera? Do you have that kind of setup? Are you ready to go if it does rain? Beyond that, clouds, man. Anyway, if the clouds cover up the sun, is your camera manually set for all of its exposure settings, or does it have some auto features? Do you want to use auto features, or would you prefer to manually set it? Because if that sun comes out and all of a sudden, or if the clouds come out and cover up the sun and everything gets darker, right? Are you just going to let it be darker, or are you going to try to change some camera settings on the fly? Depending on how you change those, or depending on the camera settings, like, as far as I understand, in my experience, when I have to change my ISO manually, it's like you could see it step, right? So you could see the ISO step from 200 to 400, and it looks like an abrupt change in how bright or dark the image is. It's like 1 second it's like this, then the next frame it's like bam, and it's brighter all of a sudden. That might look kind of weird to people watching it. So if you're filming outside, if you're okay with it, because again, maybe it might be potentially maybe a little bit unpredictable, or maybe do something you don't want it to do depending on your camera and how it handles stuff. You might not want to do auto settings, but maybe consider it as an option, because as far as I understand, like when I have my GH5 here in, exposure mode automatic or whatever it's called, where you have that A instead of an M for the exposure mode or whatever it's called, I could just kind of set my aperture at like f2.8, and then the shutter speed and the ISO just kind of does its auto thing depending on how I have my highlight priority set. And so all that basically means, like, if you are going to put your camera in more of an automatic mode, then it might be a bit smoother on how it adapts to the changing lighting conditions. But at the same time, maybe sometimes it'll adapt the way that you don't want it to. So keep that in mind. Think about like what matters most. You want kind of that quick run and gun ease of use, then you might want to use the auto settings. Does having it look a certain way, like as much as possible, really matter? Then maybe you want to try to use the manual settings. Again, if you have like a variable ND filter on the front of your camera or on your lens, or if it has it internally in your camera or whatever, a variable ND lens or an ND lens or ND filter, ND filter, think of it, as far as I understand, I could be wrong in how I'm explaining this, but I kind of think of it this way. It's like sunglasses for your camera, right? So you put on sunglasses, makes things less bright if they're polarized, fair enough, right? I think that's the term, polarized. Anyway, makes things less bright, right? Think of an ND filter like that on your camera. If it is one that is variable, I think what that means is you can like adjust it, and it will, I assume, gradually get brighter or darker depending on how you turn it. I don't know if, I can't confirm if all variable ND filters work that way, but feel free to look into ND filters if you want an additional way to adjust the exposure of your camera depending on your environment and your settings and things like that. Another thing, when it comes to shooting outside, the audio. If it's windy, do you have a dead cat? What's a dead cat? Not necessarily what you're thinking. Okay, I think a dead cat is a slang for when you have that fluffy thing on a mic. You might have seen this, where they have those fluffy little things, fabric fluffy things, on a shotgun mic, right? What's that do? A fair way to say is it helps to not necessarily completely block out wind noise, but maybe it helps, you could say, to mitigate the wind noise, to make it better than if you just had no cover on your mic at all. Because even if you have just the foam cover, that's probably better than nothing, but maybe it's a fair assumption that it's not quite as good as if you have the foam filter and the dead cat, or just the dead cat filter on it, depending on how you're doing the filter system on it. The mic I'm using right now is by Comica, and how it's set up is it basically has the foam cover, and then the dead cat's like the sleeve that goes over the foam cover, so it's just like this little, looks like this little gray fluffy thing. But anyway, All right. So consider that. Consider that. You know, when you're trying to work outside, try to plan for these things because stuff can happen. Things can change. Try to adapt. Try to be adaptable. And one thing that I've kind of learned as a takeaway from doing event video stuff is one of the things that it's fair to say matters the most is speed, right? Is your setup fast? Can you just immediately like, okay, bam, turn it on, you know, okay, bam, press record, okay, it's just, we're filming now, it's working, you know, and you're doing this in like 5 seconds or less? Or do you have to like blah, 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 set up this, set up that, turn this on, move this thing, blah, blah, blah? Like, what is the setup time from 0 to filming? Try to minimize that to get it into a smaller time window so you can just start filming, because when you're doing event video or whatever, it's like, you might not be able to get that shot again. It's not like, oh, can you do that, you know, random, spontaneous, cool thing again for me? It's like, no. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, you got to try to get the shot while the shot is there, or else you might just miss it, and it might be a bummer. Anyway, does this video help to inform you on these things? If you want to ask some questions, say you got some more questions about camera stuff, if you want to ask questions, I got a link to my Skool Community in the description. Feel free to sign up right now. I'm running a 7-day free trial, okay? If you got questions, feel free to join the Skool Community, ask the questions, okay? Until next time, thank you for watching Camera Talk. Have a good one.